Okay, so what we're doing today, it is not super tough. It is basically what we did yesterday, except we are working backwards. You get a notes paper, Quantum? Which one for you?
Alright, just say it, just to let you
Okay,
guys
it is basically what we did yesterday, but backwards. So, for what we're going to do for some of today, we're going to look at the shapes and say, is that a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square? So, here are some ways we can say the shape is a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square. So if diagonals of a parallelogram are perpendicular, where they cross, then our parallelogram is a rhombus. So if the diagonals here in the middle, if they cross and they make 90-degree angles everywhere, or even if they have just one, if they have one, they have all of them, and that looks terrible. So I'm going to erase that. Because that kind of bugs me. If you have one, you know that's 90, that's 90, that's 90, that's 90, then you have a rhombus. If one diagonal, and you only need to look at one, in a parallelogram bisects a pair of opposite angles, then the parallelogram is also a rhombus. So if a diagonal cuts an angle in half, doesn't matter which one you're looking at, as long as it cuts one of them in half, good. You have a rhombus. And then our last one, if the diagonals of a parallelogram are congruent, or you have a piece of them that is congruent, then you have a rectangle. So even if you have like this piece is congruent to this piece, you also have a rectangle. So all you need is a set of pieces. This work. But I can't have, I guess I should back up. You need a set of pieces not on the same diagonal. Because if I have this piece and this piece, I don't know anything about this piece. Because remember, in parallelograms, the diagonals cut each other in half if you have a rectangle. So I don't know anything about this. I have to have one of each of the bottom ones, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Like, I need like two of the bottom ones. I can't have like one half, another half. I need two bottom ones for it to work. So either the whole thing equals each other, or this piece and this piece equal. And even though we didn't talk about it, if we have a square, I need to say it is both a rectangle and a rhombus. So for a square, I need rectangle and rhombus. Alright, so keep that in mind, because it might be a square and not just a rectangle and not just a rhombus. So we're going to look at a few shapes here, and we're going to say, is each parallelogram, each of these are parallelograms, is it a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square? And we're going to explain, but that part's easy. So let's look at A. On A, we have a diagonal in the middle, right? And it cuts these in half. What shape do we say cuts your corners in half?
Rhombus.
Rhombus. This is a rhombus. Rhombus because it bisects corners. Or you could say cuts corners in half, but that's more to write. So it says, what shape is it, and then explain. So that was a rhombus, because it cuts corners in half.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's look at B. Let's see, I got a 90 degree here in the middle, right? What shape has that 90 degree in the middle?
Rhombus.
Rhombus, right? So it's a rhombus because it's got those 90 degree, oh, how did they phrase that? 90 degree, one more. The diagonals are perpendicular. So perpendicular diagonals, perpendicular, perpendicular, there we go, I can spell it. I'm going to try this again. Perp. Bisectors. Perpendiculars. There we go. Can't spell that A. We have perpendicular diagonals, but let's look at this again. What do I know about these little pieces on these diagonals?
They equal each other?
They're congruent, right?
Yeah.
What thing has congruent diagonals?
Rectangles?
Rectangles, right? So it's also a rectangle because it has congruent diagonals. But let's look at this. It's a rhombus and it's a rectangle, which means it's a what?
Square.
It's really a square for our final thing. It's not that bad, Kylie. It's not that bad. SQ, that's an A, I swear. So this is really a square for our final answer. Alright, one more, then you guys can do one. And these 45s are for these angles on the inside. Alright. So, on these inside ones, hey, Lana, come away. All the way away of your YouTubes.
Away.
No, Tyler. Alright, Tyler,
Yeah.
what do we got going on in this parallelogram?
Is the line bisects that corner?
Yeah, bisects this corner, right? Which means it is a,
Rubus.
it will be. So, remember, even though it doesn't have anything over here, we know it cuts this corner in half because it's a parallelogram. So they can cut corners in half here. So I know that these are the same, which means it's a rhombus. So even though we don't have any numbers here, I know it's cut in half because that's how parallelograms work. Corners in half. Alright, it's a rhombus because it bisects corners. Alright, first thing, last problem, tell me what kind of shape is this last parallelogram?
Is it a rectangle or a square?
What?
Is it a rectangle or a square?
No, that's a good
Rectangle?
question. No, good question. Look back at your definitions.
It's a
Look back at your definitions.
It's a rectangle.
Because?
Is it a rhombus?
Or
It can't be a
Sure,
rhombus
sure.
because it's talking about the
Diagonals
corners.
are-
It's talking about like the middle,
So
the line
diagonals.
part, so it would be a
It's on here, right?
rectangle or a square.
Look back at your notes.
You need to include the parallelogram is not a or like. So you're talking about the shape.
It's not.
Yeah, we're okay.
Talking about
Oh man.
this way. So it'd be a rectangle.
Alright, let's look at this. Quana, what'd you say it was?
It's a rectangle.
Yes?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
side.
I understand.
You're right.
Because.
What'd you say, Quana? Why is it a rectangle?
Because-
Let him answer.
Hold up, let me look.
Because it looks like a chocolate bar.
Congruent diagonals, right?
Yes, because we have congruent diagonals. AE plus CE, AE CE is 15, right? DE BE is 15. They're the same, so congruent diagonals. Alright, so that's the first part of what we're doing. The second part is actually almost exactly like yesterday's. We are going to look at shapes and say, oh, what can I plug in for X to make the whole thing a rhombus or a rectangle or whatever. So, we really did this yesterday, basically. If I want to make this a rhombus, what do I know about these two angles right here?
equal each
I gotta equal each other, right? So what number for X makes the shape a rhombus? Well, these equal each other. 6x minus 2 equals 4x plus 8. We just have to solve it for X. So I'm going to minus 4x on both sides. We get 2x minus 2 equals 8. Plus 2 on both sides. We get 2x equals 10. Divide by 2. We get
It
x
equals
5.
28.
My symbols messed up.
Both sides equals
I
28.
always put like plus 2, I mean minus 2 instead of plus 2.
No, you didn't.
Because
You
I
did the
gotta
opposite.
reverse
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. X equals 5. What?
It equals 28.
On what?
6 times 5 minus 2 equals 28. And 4 times 5 plus 8 is 28, so it's 28.
Oh, that's what that value is?
Yeah.
Did it say find the degrees?
No.
Oh, it just said find X.
Yeah, I
So
know,
you're
just
right,
28,
but you didn't need to
yeah.
do that.
Extra points.
Alright. So, you know what? Let's, guys wanna practice one more or you wanna try one?
Sure.
Try one.
Alright. Let's go in this bottom right shape, and these are for the corners. I accidentally deleted my arrows, I think. So these corners are those sides. So that left one is 23x minus 9, the right one's 38. Got a question, Tyler? Or? Okay. So on your own, find out what value for x makes that a rhombus. I'll give you a hint, I believe it's a decimal.
It is a decimal. my gosh, that sucks.
Solve it on your own, on your paper.
Can't do
No,
it.
ask him that.
I believe you found
No, it's on my phone.
I should just wear a white shirt next time. Save the nice shirt.
Oh, wait.
This one right here. I like that, yeah. Done for 5
Easy.
What'd you get?
2.04.
now.
It's 47 divided by 23.
Yeah,
2.04.
there's more about
Oh,
that.
yeah. I told you that, huh?
And I don't think you need to round it
First
up.
part is
at all.
like baking too.
Is it point six?
Alright, brothers, if you like actually make all these 10 attempts on it, it will actually delete all the stuff on his phone.
That's a little paranoid. Alright.
Huh?
Alright, Ryan, start us off. How are we gonna solve this one?
I might do the opposite way. You guys don't like it, but I'll go with it.
Set us up, set it up.
23x minus 9 equals 38.
Alright, Trista, what's the first thing we're gonna do?
Yeah, wait, for that one?
Yeah.
Oh, plus 9.
And what do we get?
47.
Yeah, what they said.
47.
What he said?
Alright, what's the last thing we do, Joseph?
Right. Divide 47 by 23.
Yep, and what do we get after we divide by 23?
2.04.
I'll trust you, something like that.
You know,
Everybody disagree? 2.04?
Uh-huh.
Look how good. Alright, one last one. So, we talked about this before, and I'm not sure why my shapes look weird, but...
Usual.
But hey, I am taking pictures on your phone.
What?
Yeah, you're taking pictures on your
I
phone.
didn't even mean to. I'm just joking.
I was just joking.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway,
Sit down.
alright. So, we want to know for what number for y makes the shape a rectangle. What did we say about the diagonals in rectangles? Congruent, right? So I can go 5y plus 3 equals 7y minus 5. And we can solve for both of them. So real quick, we'll just go through minus 5y minus 5y. 3 equals 2y minus 5. And we'll add 5 to both sides.
It goes 4.
We get 8 equals 2y divided by 2. We get y equals 4. 4 equals y, doesn't matter. I know we went through it quick, but you guys have done a lot of equations. I'm not really worried about you guys being able to solve this.
I know, right?
You guys have done equations for a long time.
Exit ticket.
Alright, that's it. Told you it was a short one. So, starting your exit ticket, I will turn on Socrative and put your homework on the board, and that'll be it. You guys got lots of time to finish that off. Do missing homework.
Can I go back? Real quick?
Sure.
That's a rectangle.
There you go.
Thank you.